Don't believe everything you hear and don't act on it either, because this new moon in Virgo is going to feel a little bit cloudy. I'm Megan Mermaid, and I'm the author of the Mermaid Empowerment Oracle deck, as well as Mermaid Mindset Makeover. And I'm so excited to bring you today's new moon in Virgo energy message. And this is a very powerful moon. New moons are always a time of intention. It's a time to start a new chapter, to begin again. But this particular new moon is also going to be highlighted and flavored by this aspect of Mars in Gemini squaring Neptune in Pisces. So when we have Mars, the planet of action, of willpower, of drive, of passion, of desire, squaring Neptune, which is the planet of spirit, and can sometimes be this idealized way of seeing the world, I almost see it as like we're going on this ship. Everybody's saying, don't do it. You're going to go over the cliff. There's like some type of like crazy waterfall or something that's on the horizon. We're just like, no, I'm taking this ship now. This is the time to go. And what happens? You can't see through the fog and the clouds, and you fall and you drop to a lot of harm, if not death. So I don't know why this vision came so strongly to me, but I feel like it's a cautionary vision to remind us to just take a pause before acting. So before we go deeper into this Mars Neptune square, I want to talk about the energy of Virgo in general. Virgo is this really beautiful energy that's all about kind of harvesting everything that we've done, of purification, of analyzing, of figuring out what is prepared, what is ready, what needs to be cleared, what is useful. Virgo energy is also about the body. It's connected to our routines. It can even be connected to animals and pets, and it's our day-to-day life. So this new moon in Virgo is going to be highlighting how we structure our day. It's going to highlight what is useful to us and what just needs to be tossed out. So Virgo energy in the shadow side can sometimes be overly analytical or kind of like perfectionistic, looking for flaws. And so what I want to encourage you to be mindful of in this new moon in Virgo energy and for the subsequent lunar cycle that's following is, are you looking for what's wrong? Because we're going to find whatever we're looking for. And so then we have this Mars Neptune square, and it's like Mars in Gemini is causing us to act based upon what we're thinking. And Mars in Gemini is very social. So the opinions, the perspectives of other people are very important. So perhaps you might be looking out into the world and you might find yourself in a space of comparison, which can be said as the thief of joy. Or maybe it's about thinking, what are other people doing? Maybe I should be doing what they're doing. Or, maybe it's people pleasing or wanting to do something to receive validation. Whatever it is, the way that we are acting may not be coming from this grounded space. So this Virgo moon is like in the background saying, hey, let's pause, okay? Let's take a moment to evaluate what the best possible action is. And if there's not one, if there's not an option that feels good, let's just pause. There's so much wisdom in the pause, because this Neptune energy can sometimes bring deception in the most exaggerated sense. It could bring secrecy and scandal and lies and all sorts of strange desires being acted out in the collective in a more subtle sense. And sometimes the subtle can be just as poisonous, just as harmful. We might notice that we're having a lot of unproductive thoughts, and maybe we are judging ourselves more critically than usual, or maybe we are comparing ourselves to others and not seeing ourselves in the light that we deserve to be seen in. I had this moment today where I felt like this flood of insecurity, this like crippling anxiety. And like, I really was in this space of being like, whoa, is this even mine? And I had to take a step back and witness the me that was in this space of the unproductive thoughts and be like, wow, I'm really in a space of fear right now. I'm really judging myself. Even just that little bit of spaciousness helped me to have compassion for myself in that moment and realize like what I was experiencing is something that I'm tapping into collectively. We're all feeling kind of low this week about ourselves. We're all judging ourselves. We're all missing the mark in some way, or we feel like we're missing the mark in some way. And is that even true? Is that even true that we are missing the mark? Or are we just really judging ourselves more harshly than we need to be judged? And then we have to look at what's happening in the world, right? And we have to really just honor and accept things are not the way we wish they could be. Maybe there's situations in our lives and our relationships that don't feel like we wish that they could be. Maybe we're looking out on the global atrocities and we're wondering, how is this ever going to get better? Maybe it feels like things are getting worse. And so I just encourage you, instead of distracting yourself from that or using it as a distraction, find this medium, this third option where you lean in to the feeling and you get curious about the thought. Who is this that is having this thought? Where did I get this thought? And maybe just take it all the way through if you really need to. I had this really interesting, I don't know if you would call it a breakthrough or an epiphany, but I've had a really hard time letting go of a previous relationship that didn't work out the way that I thought it would a few months ago. And I feel like what was really challenging for me was that it ended so abruptly and it left a lot of uncertainty. And so that's been an initiation in itself, just learning to find that closure within myself rather than judging myself. But when I was listening to this novel and the characters felt very familiar, the storyline felt very similar to what I had experienced, I had another thought about this whole situation where it was like, what if I had stayed and it would have gotten progressively worse and it would have affected more of my life? And it was almost like I had to see that scenario play out to the fullest in a way that would not have been beneficial for my life and my work and my well-being. And so when I looked at it from that sense, instead of blaming myself for not being enough, which we can often do, I looked at it again and I thought, wow, I was saved. It was like the universe just closed that door and was like, no, you're not going to go down that road. We know what that road looks like, and it's not the road for you. So I'm sharing this because when we start to find that that inner critic within us is very loud over the next few weeks, I want you to just get curious about it and figure out, okay, where is this coming from and how can I love myself through this situation? And also, how can you maintain this space of hope when even if we are in this space of humanity where there's so much unraveling, there's so much suffering, where evil and darkness are more present than they have ever been before, or at least it seems to be that way. How can we trust that the spirit of grace, that unconditional love, that God consciousness will prevail? So I'm going to be pulling some cards today from the tarot, and I feel like the Starseed Oracle is going to be a good one for us to pull from, as well as my deck, the Mermaid Empowerment Oracle. And we're just going to go right into it. You know, this new moon, what is your intention? Maybe based upon how the astrology is for this new moon and how we can already begin preparing for the initiatory experiences mentally that are going to be kind of plaguing us in the collective. We can set an intention for self-compassion. We can set an intention for patience. We can set an intention to not believe what we hear. And then we also have to kind of, even more than focusing on our own thoughts, which is of absolute importance, but we also need to be mindful of our interactions with others because everyone is feeling clouded. Everyone is confused. things are not as they seem. So use that discernment. And if you need to pause or take time, be with that. Because again, it's always better to take your time than to impulsively rush into action and then do something or say something that you can't take back. So, this is really a lesson of our self mastery and our ability to practice non reaction and to stay centered in our space, no matter what kind of chaos is happening around us. So the first card that we have is Ace of Swords. So I feel like this is really powerful, where if instead of trying to distract ourselves away from this discomfort, this mental anxiety, this crippling inner critic voice inside of us that is constantly judging you or berating you or saying you are not enough, if we start to move towards the discomfort. I heard this story about buffaloes the other day. When there's a storm, buffaloes move towards the storm rather than away. So we can be like these buffaloes that are moving towards the storm, towards the discomfort. And if we can do that while keeping our hearts open and our minds open, then there's some kind of epiphany, some kind of breakthrough that we can experience. And because Pluto has just moved back into Capricorn, we're sort of tying up these lessons, these journeys that we've gone through over the past 15 years. So we're wrapping up a lot of timelines. And sometimes we have to sit with the discomfort because it's like that final piece of the puzzle before we can move forward. Uranus also just went retrograde. So it's like we're having to wait to make big shifts outwardly in our life. And instead, we have to look within and make these like very difficult sometimes, but very necessary shifts in our inner perception, in our view of ourselves, because that's what's going to change what we see on the outside. So, strength is coming up. I love this because this is just such a reminder that we have to have that strength. And what I love about strength in this sense is you see how the lion and the lamb is represented here, where it's like strength is found in our vulnerability. Strength is found in our ability to keep our heart open. As Richard Rudd in the Gene Key shares, it's about returning non-love with love. This is our path. This is how we find the breakthrough, that we can't stop what is happening. We cannot ever change the planetary weather, but we can have this umbrella of strength when all of this rain is pouring down on us. And then we have the Hangman. So there's a lot of really powerful major arcana cards. This is going to be a very powerful portal in this lunar cycle of transformation. But the transformation often requires us to be more in a space of being than doing. The Hangman is when we have to really just let ourselves see things from a different perspective, and we have to let go and let God. Mercury just went direct, and we might feel this sense of urgency of I've got to get started. I've got to do these things. I've got to get this going. I've got to make money. I've got to put my work out there. I've got to be in this relationship. I've got to lose this weight. I've got to whatever it is. It's notice that. Notice how you're feeling about those intentions, because if they're coming from a space of peace and intuitive divine guidance, you're going to feel calm. You're going to feel centered. You're going to feel that bliss. But if it's coming from this space of fear or anxiety or worry or urgency, you're going to feel restless. You're going to feel stressed. You're going to feel overwhelmed. And on top of everything that's happening around us, if you're already putting yourself into that space, it's going to be that much harder to feel successful and to feel at peace with what's happening collectively. The High Priestess. So again, it's like we have to surrender how we think things should be. We have to let go, and we have to come into this space of stillness. You see here how her eyes are closed. If we want to receive these divine downloads, these aha moments, these epiphanies, it's about letting go, having the strength to let go, having the strength to sit. There is a quote that I heard from two different people this week. So I know that it's like super powerful. And I'm totally going to mess up the name of the guy who said it. It was like Blase Pascal or something. But anyway, it doesn't matter who said it. What matters is that I've heard it twice, and it's important to share that most of man's troubles, man being all beings, come from our inability to sit in a room quietly with our thoughts. Contemplate on that. Are you able to sit with yourself and your thoughts and your discomfort and your uncomfortable emotions and that inner critic and that crippling sense of anxiety and insecurity and not enoughness? You don't have to do it alone. Even if you're sitting alone in that room, you can invite your higher self. You can invite your spirit guides, the ascended masters. You can invite the spirit of grace. But we have to be willing to sit with the discomfort. If we can sit with the discomfort, that's when those aha moments are going to occur. So I'm going to move to my deck, the Mermaid Empowerment Oracle deck, and we have focus and self-mastery. Again, these lessons are repeating. Self-mastery is I'm the master of my mindset. Focus is I focus only on what I want to create. I would encourage you to pause and write these affirmations, these mermaid empowerments down, and have them somewhere visible for you during this whole lunar cycle. I'm the master of my mindset. I focus only on what I want to create. So we're not focusing on what's not going well. We're not focusing on what could go wrong. We're focusing on the prize. We're focusing on the goal. We're focusing on grace. We're focusing on gratitude. And this self-mastery card is saying that we are the master of our mindset. Mindset work is everything, because the mental body influences the astral emotional body, which then influences the physical body. So if you're having painful emotions, if you're having dis-ease, discomfort in the body, you've got to come back to this thought. You've got to come back to the thoughts. You've got to come back to your mindset. You've got to come back to the thoughts. You've got to come back to your mindset. So mindset work is simply beginning to observe and notice what you are thinking without judgment. So take a moment and just go throughout the day and just pause and think, what am I thinking about? How does it feel? And then just notice and observe. If you're thinking something unproductive, if you're thinking something fearful, then shift back to love. And that's self-mastery. You notice, you observe, you shift. You notice, you observe, you shift. And then you do that for the rest of your life 1,000 million trillion times. And maybe you'll start to kind of get it. Kind of. Yeah, it takes time, but you got this. So I'm going to end today with the Starseed Oracle card. I've really been feeling that the galactic realms have been coming in to help us and to remind us that even though we can't just go back in our spaceships and exit Earth, we chose to come here, we volunteered. They're here to help us. So we have this card, Forge, Don't Follow. Pave a new path. Be the leader you wish you had. Those words are so profound. Be the leader you wish you had. That's the thing, is if you see that there's something going on in the world and you're like, why isn't anyone doing anything about this? Honey, it's because you're the person that's supposed to do something about it. Or if you notice that you're going through something challenging and you think, wow, like, I wish that I had someone that I could talk to, or that I could listen to, or that could guide me, that's been there. We as starseeds or light workers or way showers, whatever you want to call yourself, whatever that title is, we're literally not better than anyone else. We're just choosing to go first. We're choosing to go first. And so that means that we've accumulated at least a little bit of wisdom along the way, especially if that wisdom has come from all the things that didn't work out, or all the times that we fell flat on our face, or all the times that we looked back and thought, you know what, maybe that wasn't the best choice to make. Maybe that wasn't the right decision, but oh wow, I know now. I know now. And so that is how you become the leader that you wish you had, by literally just going a few steps ahead of everybody else, being that way shower, being that explorer of consciousness, which you are. You would not be attracted to this video. You would not be attracted to my work if you were not a explorer of consciousness and on the leading edge of consciousness. So I encourage you to be very, very gentle with yourself and recognize that whatever challenges may arise, that this too shall pass. But we can't control what happens in the outside world. We can only control how we respond to it and how we talk to ourselves and how we nurture ourselves and how we hold ourselves through it. So you deserve to be kind to yourself. You deserve to let go of that harsh inner critic that's telling you that you're not enough, or that things won't get better, or that you don't deserve what you truly want, because that's false. It's false. And only by your self-mastery, yeah, you got to rescue you. You've got to be the hero. You've got to be the one that comes to your own rescue. And it comes one self-loving step at a time. If you would like to go deeper into how this moon will affect you or anything else that's coming up, you can book a reading with me on the Everclear app and get 3 minutes free, plus $20 to spend on phone or chat readings. And my Galactic channeled reading sale is still extended for $44 off. So you can find that link in bio. And I'm wishing you all of the best. Happy new moon. May we all just continue to be in this grounded space of pausing and letting go and trusting that God has got us. Have a beautiful, beautiful day.